Sharia. Turkish lawyer arrested for bold tweet. In a bold expression of dissent, Turkish lawyer Feyza Altun faced imprisonment for her critique of Sharia law on social media, particularly highlighted by her forthright comment, F Sharia, in response to interaction on social media. This action led to her arrest by Istanbul's Beykoz Chief Public Prosecutor's Office under charges of inciting enmity or hatred towards a religious group, as defined by Article 216 of the Turkish Penal Code. Altun's defense in court was compelled and defiant, stating, quote, "For me, what you call Sharia is the Taliban mindset that stones women on the streets. In this context, I stand behind my word. That regime will not be implemented in this country either. Modern secular rules apply in this country." Her case sparked significant online backlash, with campaigns for her arrest and personal threats against her. Despite the controversy, Altun remained steadfast, clarifying rumors about her personal life while reiterating her commitment to secular law and freedom of expression in Turkey. So here's a little bit of context. Basically, she was on social media. She tweeted a Persian poem, and then someone again. The translations are a little bit weird, right? So it doesn't completely make sense, but based on reporting, she tweeted a poem in Persian, and then someone tweeted back to her like something along the lines of like, "You have Sharia diarrhea." That's what the translation I've seen in English says. And then she responded, "F Sharia." And then there was huge backlash against her.
Wait, where is she? Oh, she's arrested.
She's in Turkey. She's not arrested, and I think
she's-
she's out on bail right now, and she could face a few years in prison, I think. I don't know how likely that is.
Okay, and people are saying she should be in prison. Is she at risk at like violence? This woman seems extremely brave. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's a level of bravery. That's too much bravery.
Yeah, I don't know how much risk of violence she's at, but I think some context that's important while I was looking into this is Armin, while I go to the bathroom really quickly, can you pull up this article that happened last year that I just put in the private chat? Because this will explain why people find this so juicy. So just read through this real quick.
Oh, okay. Hostility against Sharia is hostility against Islam, says Turkey's Erdogan. Wow. Okay. Turkey's President Erdogan stated that hostility against Sharia law was hostility against Islam as a whole, and called people critical of the Sharia ignorant during a graduation speech at the Religious Affairs Academy. So Diyanet. Oh, Diyanet. I know this word. Diyanet Academy. Diyanet means religious affairs. Okay, so Turkey's President Erdogan on February 1st commented on the critics of Sharia law, saying hostility against Sharia law is hostility against Islam. During the graduation ceremony at the Religious Affairs Diyanet Academy, the president urged new religious officers to become active members of society. If you look at history books, you will see that Turk equal Muslim. What? Turk equal Muslim? No. What the hell, man? How is this? How did you guys voted for this guy again? Turk and Muslim are equal? Jesus Christ. Erdogan asserted and criticized this is like really anti-secular. Like imagine dismissing all your Turkish atheists, all the Turkish Christians, all the Turkish other religions. Like what about the Turks that are not Muslim? Are they not Turk? Are they not what the? Okay, Erdogan asserted and criticized any notion that sought to build artificial walls in quotation between the two. He continued a definition of Turkishness without the inclusion of Islam's holy war spirit is merely an attempt to turn the Turkish nation into folklore tale. Erdogan suggested the unidentified enemy's goal was to disrupt the fabric of society and occupy the castle they have surrounded. Jesus Christ. Like, this is such a war against Turkey's secularism. And if there's anything remaining of that, how does this guy keep getting elected? Shariaphobia was yet another step in this scheme. The president, what? Pinned? Okay. Sharia represents the entirety of Islam's rule on life. Actually, that's a correct definition of Sharia, because some people want to separate Sharia from Islam, but they can't. Sharia basically means Islamic law, and you cannot have Islam without Islamic law, because within the very foundation of Islam includes its mandate to rule a society and enforce its law, which means Sharia. So Sharia and Islam, it is true. I agree with Erdogan that Sharia and Islam are not separable. They're like, it's a fundamental part of Islam that you cannot take out of Islam. But I do disagree with Turk and Muslim being the same thing. So this part I disagree, but this part, the Sharia is part of Islam that you cannot separate. I do agree with that. Erdogan said and warned against who dare to criticize it. Jesus Christ. So freedom of speech is out the window as well. Ignorance was at the root of the fearlessness against Sharia, according to Erdogan, who felt sorrow to see a section of society drowning in this darkness of ignorance. Erdogan urged the newly graduated imams, not to limit themselves within the limits of the mosques and the Quran. He tasked them to increase their presence in society, as any gap left by imams would be filled by, what is this word? What? What is this word? I don't know this word. I don't understand this word. Fethulahist terrorist organization, FETO, during drug dealers and perverse and deviant movements. So I think this is a terrorist group in Turkey that I don't know if. I think this is a Turkish word. Yeah. Anyways, the Diyanet has granted unprecedented influence under Justice and Development Party, the AKP rule, which is basically AKP, guys, is Erdogan's party. The 2024 budget for the directorate has increased 151%. This is a war against secularism, guys. When your party increases the budget for religious institution, this is a war against the secularism of your country. To a whopping 91.8 billion Turkish liras, which is around $3 billion. Amazing, right? Turkey's economy is just doing just fine. They have money to go around completely, and that's why they're spending money on this, right? Like, no other problems in Turkey, obviously. The directorate has an established presence in Turkey's schools through collaborations with the education ministry, allowing imams to give religious values courses and spiritual counselors to students. Anyways, great timing, Susanna. I just finished reading this, and now you're back at the exact time that I
Perfect.
finished.
Thank you. Okay, so I wanted to include that because that happened last year, almost exactly a year ago. And because people are like, oh, well, they're charging her with inciting enmity or hatred towards a group, but she's not talking about a group. She's talking about Sharia, right? She's talking about the law. She's talking about practice. Well, meanwhile, when Erdogan, the leader of your country, is saying all that less than a year ago, he's literally telling everyone that no, to be against Sharia is to be against Islam as a whole, is to be against all Muslims as a whole, and to be a Turk, you have to be Muslim. So I think that provides some good background context about why there's such a big, I mean, obviously there'd be a backlash to saying F Sharia in general, but kind of the nature of those charges or the framing of those charges. And this is part of why, this is a little bit of a tangential conversation, but this is kind of a foundation for why hate speech laws can become blasphemy laws very, very easily. And this is why I have a very strong contention with hate speech laws, because they can be so easily interpreted to shield religious ideology as well as hatred against a specific group or collective, right? Um, so I'm not exactly sure how this case is going to evolve. I don't know how likely it is that she'll actually go to prison or what her chances are of fighting it, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know how likely she is to actually face like really, really severe threats. But she could potentially face a few years in prison for this. Um, it's absolutely absurd. And I love how she didn't back down though. She's like, yeah, I'm talking about like the stoning of women in the street. I'm talking about like the essentially the barbarity of how like the Sharia punishments. She's like, no, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Screw that. So shouts out to this lady, Faiza Altun, and I want to keep following up on her case and seeing how things evolve with her.
By the way, it's Erdogan's idea, like to be Turk means to be a Muslim. That's not even Islamic idea. Like, how does that make sense? Even Islamically, even that doesn't make sense. I mean, Islam is supposed to be above ethnicities, and it's a post caring about races and stuff. It's either you're Muslim or non-Muslim. Like your ethnicity is
Probably
supposed to
just
not
part
matter.
of his like nationalist
Turkish.
fantasy of raising the Ottoman Empire again.
Yes, good. You just know these things. Exactly. Great job.
You know what it is?
That's exactly. Yes, it's
It's
bring
LARP.
back the Ottoman Empire. Yes,
It's LARPing.
You're right. It is LARPing.
The Ottoman Empire will rise again. We never left. We never left. Bitch, you thought we were gone? You thought wrong. We rise again. Meanwhile, the lira is like, I'm not rising to anything.
See, this is very interesting because we had multiple Persian empires and we had one Turkish empire, which is the Ottoman Empire. But the Persian Empire, we had pre-Islamic Persian empires and
Way to rub it in
post-Islamic
your face,
Persian.
Armin. Way to rub it in your
no, listen. No, this is interesting. Okay, we had pre-Islamic Persian empires and post-Islamic Persian empires, right? Like, for example, specifically post-Islamic, the main one is the Safavid Empire. Pre-Islamic Persian empires, the main two ones that people talk about is the Achaemenid one and the Sassanid one, right? So most Iranians are proud of the pre-Islamic Persian empires because they were like gigantic and powerful, especially the Achaemenid Empire, right? So when Iranians are like, oh, we will have, like, they are dream of the past and wanting to Iran to be a superpower like the Achaemenid Empire, right? They have an idea of something that was before Islam. And that's why Islam and, historical ancient appeal to ancient history as a form of nationalism is at odds with Islam in Iran, because Iran used to be extremely great before Islam. However, in Turkey, their experience with being an empire was only when they were also an Islamic empire. So being a Turkish empire and being an Islamic empire was happening at the same time. So going back to their empire and appeal to becoming an empire again, form of nationalism, is ingrained, is like one with Islamism. So you cannot separate this. So in Iran, Islamism and nationalism, historic nationalism, are at odds with each other. But in Turkey, because their experience with empire was when they were Islamic, they're with each other. They're in the same direction with each other. They complement each other. Does that make sense?
Oh, totally.
Yes. So you know how you said people are like, how you say make America great again? In Iran or Turkey, people are like, make Iran an empire again, or make Turkey an empire again. That's some people's mindset. That's how some people's mindset works.
The caliphate will rise. The caliphs will rise again. Seething and crying. I told you we were going to have a good show today.
Oh my god. We got 2 super chats. You want to read those before we move on
Oh, yeah, yeah,
to the
yeah.
next news? Yeah.
Kenny gave us a $5 super chat just with no comment. Thank you, Kenny. And Yusuf also gave a super chat saying Turks are less religious than Erdogan, though. Yes, I believe that
On
I
averages.
haven't checked the latest statistics, but there is a large trend of Turkey's young people becoming less religious and less Islamic.
Do you know who makes the most amazing, gorgeous, and other adjectives that I can't use here on YouTube, blasphemous art ever? We do! And for some reason, we are giving it away for free. Download them now using the link in the description before we change our mind.